What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Orange Bloods Live. It's my second go-around on the channel today. I'm Jeff Ketchum, and that is Chad Hastings, and that is my Weimaraner. Yeah, no, like
Uh-oh, my dog hears your dog. We're gonna get a little multi-poo magic going in here. No.
The thing is, like, the wife left. First time I've ever heard. The wife is pulling my son out of school to get a haircut.
Oh,
because his haircut lady is so busy that it's the only time he can get in. And
you need to make sure you give your wife this credit. I've never heard of that in my life.
Now, she claims that she's going to get this done in and out during lunch and have him back in the 1 o'clock hour.
I've never heard of a haircut getting you out of school ever.
I mean, look.
We are officially across a boundary line where...
Look, you're married and you've been married for a long time. All I can do is tell you I chalk that up to sometimes in life, you have to pick your battles with your wife.
Oh, yeah.
She just had this look on her face like, I'm doing this, and I ask no questions.
If this ends up with a happy wife, happy life situation, more power to her. Plus, you don't have to do it. Had she asked you to do it, that's a different discussion, but she's willing to do it. And if everything happens, yeah, you just got to kind of wash your hands.
My kid, whose name is Hendrix, is like well beyond the shaggiest looking version of John Lennon that you can imagine. You know, like his hair is doing curls and stuff at the bottom of it. So it's time. He needs a trim. So I'm okay with it. We don't be talking about that all day long, but it's been a weird day.
There's gonna be some broken-hearted girls at school, I bet, when they see that haircut. They're gonna be broken-hearted that he cut the locks.
Anyway, guys, jump into the Specs chat. Chat it up. Shout out to our title sponsor, Texas Card House. We'll tell you more about them momentarily. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. I don't even know how the hell the show began. Like, the dogs were barking, and my wife's not here. That's how it happened. Hopefully, Amazon's done making deliveries or whatever that was.
Yeah, there you go. I got a good way to start if you want.
What's that?
Thumbnail says, "Stop asking the wrong question." Let's start with you telling us what the wrong question is. It's every question related to Texas football recruiting that's not the one that needs to be asked, which is the decision that Texas made last year in recruiting. In the middle of the class, I might add, after I think they had made some additions that in the middle of the class, they decided, all things being equal, probably wouldn't do that again. Now, if we knew then what we know now, all post revenue share agreement, right? So suddenly all the money's on the table. Everybody kind of has an idea of what things have to happen. The freshman class, number one rated in the country, doesn't make a really meaningful impact in a year where there were national championship aspirations and they don't make the playoffs. So one of the things they decided kind of in the middle of the season was, and it was a little bit earlier than that, actually. Maybe they had a sense from the spring what was going on with that wide receiver group. Because I can remember in August being told, we're going to go get 6 to 8 guys. And our first 8 are going to be better than anybody else's 8. We're confident about that. We won't trade our top 8 for any other 8. And then everything after that is like, all bets are off. Meaning projects, meaning not spending money, meaning they're looking for cut rate deals at that point. There's going to be like a outpour of funds into the top of the class. And then that's it, in part because they want to save some of that money that they felt like was dead weight money previously spent. They want to use that in the portal. We've now seen that strategy implemented for 1 year. They just had what I think, other than the missing offensive lineman, they didn't quite get, and probably the edge player that we all know they wanted but didn't get. They had as good of a portal class as anybody in the country. And when we talk about national championship aspirations, it really does center around all that they were able to add to a talented roster from the portal. Yeah, and especially if they get one of those offensive linemen to be a little bit better than we think they are, then you hit it.
And look, if Maroney is eligible and then they stay healthy, then they will have done everything that they truly needed to do, but you just haven't given yourself any wiggle room to be like, oh, we got our 5 if the guy's NCAA eligible. But look, we know it's not like they didn't try. It's not the same as Pregnon from a year ago, but I digress. So the question becomes for me, there's one question that matters because everything else cannot be answered until you answer this question. One of the examples, people were asking Jason on Orange Bloods in the last 24 hours, who are the top 3 wide receivers that you're going to get? And it's like, slow down. Because I can tell you right now, Texas is not paying money for 3 wide receivers. They did that in 2025, and they literally changed their entire recruiting strategy based on the fact that they were like, yo, man, that's a lot of money we spent on 5-star wide receivers. None of them can get in the rotation. That's hustling backwards, right? So you got to ask yourself, is wide receiver going to be one of the positions we think that they say we're going to pour $1 million+ on a prospect on? If you're not one of those 6 to 8 guys, then the next question kind of becomes, will you be willing to potentially take less money at Texas than maybe more money you'll get somewhere else? An example of that would be John Turntine, who's tearing it up in freshman workouts. Anwar had a note on him on Saturday that everybody is excited and he's gained some weight and he's looking good. But he's still probably a couple of years away from being a starting 2-deep level player, maybe a year away. We'll see. Let the kid grow. That's how I feel about offensive linemen in general. It's not personal. They just usually take 2 or 3 years. But Texas was like, look, we can't pay. I think Texas decided last year, if you're not going to start at tackle for us like almost immediately, then we can't be paying you like $1 million. That kind of took him out of the Ojo discussion. Like that just never even really got off the ground. Texas Tech was going to pay Felix Ojo a bunch. And Texas really liked Ojo, but they were like, we are not doing that. So you got to just ask yourself, who are the guys that they're going to spend money on? And then you got to ask yourself, is the guy now that we're talking about someone like John Turntine, who he got a really nice revenue sharing deal, NIL, however they like frame it when they're doing 2 at the same time. There's only so much revenue share money, and we know that there's a lot more money involved. What I heard is that he got, I would say something less than $500,000. Don't want to be too specific, but I had heard he had offers above that. And that at the end of the day, he wanted to go to Texas. And when he committed, there were people that I talked to that said that guy might be the captain of our team in a few years. That guy is A, really, really good, but B, was willing to live with the parameters that we needed in his recruitment in order for it to make sense for us, i.e., can't really be paying somebody more than $500,000 a year, and we don't know if they can play in the first couple of years. Texas is at the vantage point they can't do that, but they still got Turntine. And they still got, I think, a number of guys last year on some pretty good market value deals, but they only went after about 5 or 6 guys that I think they backed the Brinks truck up on. And we talked about him, right? We know Derek Cooper got an offer so big at running back, it changed his entire recruitment. We know that offer was so big that no matter how bad Miami wanted Derek Cooper, they literally just never came close to saying, we'll mess with what that Texas offer looks like.
So Catch, real quick, if the wrong question was who are the 3 receivers, is the right question, is there a receiver that's going to be in that group?
Well, we know Easton Royal is one of these 6 to 8 guys.
Okay. So
there's no room at wide receiver for another guy like that. They are not ever. I think as long as Steve Sarkisian is there. Because on paper, Khalil Lockett, Jamie French, Dalen McCutcheon, Michael Terry, that looked like on paper as good of a wide receiver freshman class as one could possibly had. A lot of money was poured into that.
Mm-hmm.
But they got no return. So the thing that, let me tell you something.
And they're going to be haunted by Decorian Moore. They're going to remember that.
I do think that they've learned that $1 is better than 4 quarters.
Right, exactly. And and Easton Royal feels like $1 to you.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that kid's even committed right now tells you, because Texas knows that LSU's coming. They don't care. Like it's going to be fascinating to watch that thing unfold. And now I think the real question that I have at wide receiver, we'll just hold the conversation there for just a second before we move on. Because I think you have to look at each position and go, are they going to do that there? Mm-hmm. For instance, this year, quarterback, not in that group. Last year, Diabell in that group. Mm. So hold that thought. I think that when we look at that wide receiver position, if they were to lose Easton Royal, I think the question then becomes, what would they do with the Easton Royal money? Is there anybody else that's within a sniff of Royal that they're recruiting at the moment? And I don't think the answer to that is yes. I think they're shopping in a middle class with guys that are probably going to end up getting offers larger than the ones that they would want to pay. And you know some of these names. You asked about one just the other day. Julian Caldwell is a wide receiver that teams all over the country are hot to trot on. He's a national top 100 guy, but he ain't Easton Royal.
Okay.
And
I know there's a cat out of the Austin area. What's the Weiss kid's name? Like Trey Moore?
Trey Moore. Again, he's another one of these guys in that area where it's like, these guys are really, really good prospects. But are they going to come in year one and just take a job because they're that good? Probably not. So they're 2 or 3 year guys before they're on the field making an impact. And I think in order for guys in that territory to end up at Texas, I just think something will have to give. And I don't think the thing that's going to give is the Texas side. I don't think Texas is going to forget we're going to have to spend a crap ton of money in the portal next year to fill immediate needs all up and down the lineup. I mean, they will have to save money somewhere. They're not a money tree. And they'll have probably they may have $20 million come off the books after this year is over that they'll be able to reinvest. I just don't think they're going to do it on high school kids. If we look at last year's model, the question is, who are the 6 to 8? Yeah. And I think at that point, it's less about specific player, although we can talk about wide receiver and it's real easy to answer that question. But running back, they've got 3 guys now who are like big time guys. And after this season's over, the expectation is that both Smothers and Brown will be gone. Would they take a running back? I think you have to put that on the very quite possibly stage. Quarterback, yes. So I think you're going to see quarterback be a position that they're going to go nationally elite on in 2028.
Okay. That's 2028. You said 2027 is a no, though.
2027 is a no. They took they've got a commitment from a guy who's not going to cost very much money at this point.
Right. Does the fact that Derek Cooper is in this discussion, does the Derek Cooper thing affect running back like Diabell affects quarterback?
No. I think the real caveat is they could go fix their running back issues in the portal as well. Mm-hmm. Except you might not know what's truly available in the portal until after the signing class is over with. So it really could turn into it. I don't know that Texas would want to be in a position where no matter how good Derek Cooper is as a true freshman, they feel like they've got to have someone on Raleek Brown or Hollywood Smothers as at least one guy like that. Like now they're going into season right now with 3 dudes. Right now on paper, they kind of have one coming back next year. And we don't even know if Cooper's any good. I think they have to get a running back. I think the answer is if they're trying to make decisions this summer on who they're dedicating $1 million type deal to, I think you probably have to assume got to deal with running back now, if at all possible. So there's 2.
Okay, hold that thought because I want to get your thought on who a running back might be. Let's remind everybody, if you want to throw in a super chat, get on in there. The Specs chat is open for you. We'll also be thanking some more of our good partners. Let me start with Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Monday, for some reason, always feels like a sinus and snoring specialist kind of day because we're coming off the weekend, and hopefully you slept good this weekend. Hopefully you rested well. We got springtime weather coming, which means all those allergies are coming to get you like they've been coming to get you year after year after year. Get it taken care of in 2026. Call 601-0303 or securely text them on that number. Hit sinussnoringent.com. You can find out all the stuff they've got. This is the very latest in ear, nose, and throat stuff. Get all those problems taken care of for good. Snoring, sleep apnea, allergies, sinuses, all the things that have been bothering you, you can get it taken care of. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with sinus and snoring specialists. And I do hope everybody had a good, restful weekend as February ended up. We're already into March. Good grief. Hard to believe. By the way, happy birthday to Texas today. 190 years old, the great state of Texas. Catch in the great state of Texas, or maybe anywhere else, maybe in any of the other great states. Is there a running back for you that is worth this discussion that you think Texas has a great shot at?
And it's a guy they do not lead with at the moment.
Okay, one dude. What's his name?
One dude. Landon Williams Callis.
Oof, what a name.
And if you are looking to replace next year Raleigh Brown and Hollywood Smothers, then getting a running back who as a junior was running 10.500s is probably not a bad way to go. I think he's the Rivals Industry number 41. I think I remember that right. Hold on. I got the recruiting matrix here somewhere. Yeah. He's high. He's gonna be one of those kind of guys. He's
we're talking diamond level.
He's
badass.
Platinum based on his current ranking.
Okay.
But man, you get me to May. And if that kid's running sub 10.4, he's a 5-star. He just is like that. Those guys don't grow on trees. He's knocking on the door. And I think more than anything, he profiles as a talent. To me, it's not even close. To me, if the Texas doesn't know this, something's wrong. Okay. Now, the issue is look, they had their hands tied behind their back last year in terms of getting guys on campus. They haven't had a lot of junior days. They are trailing, but I do think Texas in general feels like, man, we ain't trailing nothing that we can't change like that if we do the Derek Cooper thing.
In state or out of state?
In state. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And, and that's one of those that could end up being the usual suspects. I think when you start looking at guys like that, that A&M is involved, that A&M is probably the team to beat there. They're the favorite now. So if you're going to go get Landon Williams Callis, you're going to have to go beat Texas A&M to do it. But he's the guy that I think from a talent standpoint profiles as exactly what they need. No, I don't think there's another running back that they're recruiting that's quite on that level. They're looking at some out-of-state guys like Noah Roberts, who's from Arizona, who's going to come in and take a visit. They're looking at Caden Wade. They've got their eyes. They got some fishing poles out, trying to give themselves some options. There's a bunch of guys in state at running back that are really good. Sarod Baker, one of them, the kid at DeSoto, whose numbers are out of this world good. But to me, those guys are middle-class type recruits.
He's not one of the 6 to 8.
He's not one of the 6 to 8, but somebody somewhere may pay him 6 to 8 type money, which would leave Texas in a position where I think, those players just kind of bid themselves out of what Texas will probably do in recruiting. That's not to say it's an impossibility, but I don't know that anybody right now looks at him and says that guy is a 200 carry guy next year at the high Power 4 conference level. And Texas will need that kind of player or players. They think they'll have one in Derek Cooper, who's unproven at this point. That need becomes even greater if there's an issue with Cooper at all. Anything. the rest of the position, James Simon, Michael Terry, it's at this point, there's nobody from the group behind them that anybody's itching to get on the field. Not that we saw in 2025 where we were like, oh, yeah. And we know like the guys that we kind of want to see, they had chances like Michael Terry. They talked up in bowl workouts. And at the end of the day, they were like, we're good. We're good. So what am I supposed to think at this point? Now, I'm not giving up on the kid because he's super talented. But at some point, we do have to take the sample sizes that we have and try to make the best educated decisions that we can. Texas isn't building the position around the hope. I think that those guys, make good and become difference makers. I think that they will be looking at the running back position, thinking to themselves, we can't set the bar this year at Hollywood Smothers, Raleigh Brown, and Derek Cooper. And then next year it's Derek Cooper and some dudes. So I think that running back has to be one. We talked about wide receivers. And look, I keep waiting for them to make a push with a guy with Williams Callis because of, to me, the obvious. And I will say this. There is another kid in state who fits the profile, who I would love if I'm Texas to get.
Okay.
I just don't know where he fits on what kind of money we're talking about is the interesting thing. Lathan Wisenton.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this kid?
The kid out of, is it Waco Midway?
Bingo.
Okay.
That kid has already put together a sub 10.5 this spring.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's really, he's really, really good. He's not, I don't think, at the level of Landon Williams Callis, but he's really good. And I'll tell you, I'm keeping my eye on every one of his track times. But if he keeps on, keeps on doing that, like is he like
one? Is he 1A to where if Williams Callis is not available or ultimately ends up somewhere else, that you still give that top 6 to 8 guys money?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so.
You don't think it's that? Okay.
But I could be wrong too. And it just kind of depends on, the thing is, everybody loves Jermaine Bishop from last year's class, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people at the end thought he was a 5-star. I didn't quite think he was that, but he did receive a 5-star ranking from 24/7 or ESPN. I can't remember which one. He only had 2 true national big boy offers. And then it wasn't Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU. It just wasn't. It was Florida State and somebody else, but not not anybody that is in the biggest of the big dogs. So in the end, they ended up getting Jermaine Bishop on, I think, what if the fans knew, I don't know what he made, to be completely honest. But I've never heard his name ever mentioned with a super high cost. He committed early. I don't even think he took another visit. I can't even remember. Like he was committed to Texas. And he didn't, that's a kid that if he really wanted to get paid, he could have opened up his recruiting process and he might have gotten that kind of money, but he didn't. He was content the entire way through with his Texas commitment. And I think, and it's easy to say why Texas would not have gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in terms of slotting him into a high pay area, right? Because they don't even know if he's a corner or a wide receiver now. He's a really tricky guy. Because he's literally entering the start of spring next week, a week from today. And it's like, what position is he going to play? I don't know. Going to play both. We'll see what happens. It's a little bit like watching Jonah Williams play 2 sports. At some point, a decision has to be made. But until that decision is made, it makes it really hard to talk about him in terms of anything long-term, right? Like right now, it's like, oh, he's playing baseball and he's really good. And they're really good. He's a really good player on the number 3 team in the country. Go do your thing, young man. But spring football starts next week. And one of the elephants in the room with Jonah Williams is all his NIL money comes from football. So on some level, if you're, let's say, Brandon Harris, you're probably looking at that situation and saying, well,
y'all sons of bitches can pay him $1 million or whatever it is that he's making in NIL money instead of us next year. If we're not getting a player year round that is able to make the type of contributions in football that they brought him to Texas to be. It's the money involved in all of this becomes really the nexus for how you talk about every single player in the program and every single player in recruiting. And I don't think that's clicked in, because when I hear people say, who do you think Texas is going to get? That's definitely not the right question, but it really turns into maybe the first most generic question possible is, who is Texas going to choose to pay?
Yeah. So you just mentioned the elephant again. Let me do this. Let me thank our big sponsors, and then I want you to clarify the elephant thing, because multiple people in the chat have been asking for it. We'll do that after we give Texas Card House and Specs their love. Remember, hijackpoker.com is the online way to get to playing poker. All you got to do is be in the great state of Texas. Happy birthday to Texas today. Celebrate by scanning that QR code and playing hijack poker all across the great state of Texas. If you get a chance, check out one of those 6 locations too of Texas Card House. Say Orange Bloods when you check in. 1 month of free club membership, 2 hours of free poker play will be yours. Shout out to Texas Card House. They sponsor us every day at 12. And of course, all your chats and all your super chats, that is because of Specs. This is Lisa.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
All right, Catch, let's get a clarification here. Shout out to our graphics team. I love the elephant in the room on the thumbnail. It looks fantastic. Chris Bennett wanted to know what's the elephant reference to. So let's just clarify when you're thinking
elephant in the room is that the only question that matters with Texas football recruiting right now in 2027 is, who are the 8-ish guys that they're going to pay top shelf money to?
Yeah.
And you cannot answer any other question related to Texas football truly, unless it's like, well, hey, there may be a question that centers around, well, who are just the under the radar guys that are going to sign the bottom 10 or 12 guys that will cost less than $100,000 a piece, kind of a thing, right? That, I guess you could ask that question, but any meaningful question has to center around, are they going to take $1 million-ish player a year guy at that position? And then who's the player at that point, right? So we've talked about running back. We've talked about wide receiver, how Easton Royal, it's impossible knowing that Easton Royal could be the first $3 million player at the University of Texas. I think that's what it may take ultimately if they're going to keep that guy.
Yeah, a Louisiana guy that LSU is going to go after hard.
And we're beyond the 2 million mark, so it's all good, right? Like we're that it is like it's just the next threshold. It reminds me of in Major League Baseball, that old Sports Illustrated cover with all the baseball players that were making $1 million.
Right.
And it was like, look at all these people making $1 million.
Yeah. That seems crazy. Now, yeah, in a few years, Cam Coleman and Easton Royal and a bunch of guys will be like, yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
Unless the money evens out and like we see, I don't know, like a slamming of the door shut a little bit in terms of a spike in money. Right now, the prices keep rising until we see them stop. We have to assume that the range will be whatever the range is going to be, but there is a new range that has been established even in the last 12 months.
So now that we've established the elephant analogy for you guys in the chat, let's continue to talk about these 6 to 8 Catch. We hit wide receiver and running back. Can I assume that one of these big dog offensive linemen we've been discussing is part of the 6 to 8, either Kennedy Brown or Ishmael Kamara?
Yes. And I think tight end is seriously in play. So we
really
look, they're recruiting Brock Williams, right?
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay.
Who everybody thinks is not going to go to Texas.
Right.
But even the people close to Brock Williams are like, Texas is, they're making it really interesting.
Now remind me real quick. This is out of state guy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it should be noted that last year, almost everybody that Texas went after in this tier of recruits all were out of state guys. Like Texas
Right.
did a lot of what they did last year out of state.
And for you, is he that good? Is this dude a tight end of such a level that, yes, you'd give him the money, you'd make him a part of this group?
I mean, I don't know that it matters what I think. I think Texas may think that, and they have not signed a true national level tight end prospect since Jeff Banks has been on campus.
But this dude is like number one in the country kind of tight end? Number two?
I'm looking at his rankings right now. 24/7 has him. He's the Rivals Industry number 3 tight end in the country.
Number 3. All right. So we're talking top. Yeah. All right. Top
He's
3
in
tight
the
end
discussion. They're also looking. There's also a guy. There's 2 other guys. Jackson Dollar, Texas has been mentioned with him, but he's. I don't know. I think a lot. By the way, people could say Nick Townsend, maybe as a true national level tight end prospect. I had him more as a national top 100 guy than top 50 to higher guy. And I think that's the way Texas viewed him as well, but he's close. But Brock Williams, 6'5", 210. It's everybody thinks Georgia and Ohio State are the big dogs in that recruitment. And Texas is just like hanging out there. And he's going to visit. And I think they are the sleeping dark horse. And I think if they were to get Brock Williams, it would take maybe whipping the wallet out and slamming it on the table and going Derek Cooper style with him. Would they do it? I think they're giving indications that they might.
All right. So let's lay out this theoretical world of wide receiver, running back. You said one of the O linemen. Let's say Brock Williams is part of the discussion too, that they go hard at him. That's 4. We're at 4. You said the group is 6 to 8. Let's at least get to 6, but let's get to 2 more. Are there 2 more obvious ones in your head that they're going to go?
Hell yeah.
Give me 2 more.
I think defensive tackle, real quick, because I think, like I said, you need to evaluate the position before you evaluate the need. Right?
Yep.
They lose Hero Canoe. But at this point, and look, this could be impacted by NFL departures. But January's a junior, Murad Watson's a junior, Ian Gefford's a junior, Justin Terry's a sophomore, Myron Charles, Josiah Sharma, Zion Williams, and they just gave James Johnson one of these big deals last year.
He's one of those guys.
He is.
Yeah.
So you're giving Johnson big money, you're giving Terry big money, and you potentially have January, Watson, and Gefford all coming back. So there's a world out there where you're 5-6 deep, and at worst you're 4 deep, maybe, right? Like maybe a couple of those juniors leave. But even if all of your juniors left, you still would have James Johnson, Justice Terry, and then you wonder about the developmental guys they have that they really like, Zion Williams among them. I think, and I say that there's not an obvious defensive tackle. This, to me, the giveaway is Texas is not busting a gut trying to get Jalen Brewster. Jalen Brewster is not my number 1 player in the state, but he is the industry's number 2 player in the country.
This is the kid out of Cedar Hill?
Correct.
Right.
Ranked, he's, Rivals ranked him number 1 in the country last week, not at his position, not in the state, overall.
Wow.
He's committed to Texas Tech, right? So look, dude committed to Texas Tech last year. What do we think Texas Tech did?
They showed him around the building where he's going to major.
They brought him into Lubbock during the daytime and said, look at the pretty view.
They brought him into Lubbock at night, and they showed him the bag.
Hey, man, sometimes all you got to do, you don't have to take the visit anymore. Just show me the bag.
Talk about the bag.
I can make Siberia nice but here's the thing. He's taken 5 visits in the spring.
Right. Well, and there, again, we talked about it, Catch. They've really created something out there, and it's had
about that.
And it's had an impact. So obviously, if you're telling me he's gone out there 4 or 5 times, then
no.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he's going to take 5 official visits. We know that he's at Tech partly because they whipped the wallet out.
Oh, I got you. Oh, sorry. I thought you said he went to Tech 5 times. My bad.
No, he maybe has. Every time
Maybe.
he goes, they probably give him a bag of cash. I'd go too.
And again, Cedar Hill connection, that's got to matter with McGuire, right?
There's a lot of reasons why, but again,
got to matter.
Texas Tech is not even hiding. You know what I mean? Like, let's not pussyfoot around it. Texas Tech's pretty open about, look, we will pay you dudes more than anybody else. Come on down.
Yeah.
And they're not like, we don't need to be shy about it. They're paying dudes. It's legal. And this dude's the best player in the country, arguably. He's committed to Tech. He's taken 5 official visits. Every one of those schools that he's taken a visit to knows, hey, man, if we're going to mess around with this dude, it's going to take two plus.
Yeah, be ready.
Why bother? What are you going to do? Bring that kid in and be like, look, we love you. But, like, we need you to take 1.5? You're not wasting the kid's time. So, Texas is not in that 5. He's not a guy that they're trying to, like, go get. And there's no other defensive tackle that they're currently recruiting that I've seen pop up yet. And you would go, that's the guy who – I don't think they're taking a $1 million defensive tackle. It's a long way to say between the Brewster evidence – the fact that there's a stack of guys on campus that makes next year's defensive tackle needs potentially not strenuous, and the fact that no one else is really on the radar yet at that position has me thinking no D tackle.
Okay, so you're saying that's a no. So that means we're still looking for 2 more spots to get to 6. And
at
there's
least 6.
Money to go. There's extra money. All right, where's it go?
I think we know they want an edge. We do. And we know that Cassie Curry, who's from the same high school as a certain Mr. Wesley from last year, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Big Richard Wesley.
Yep, Richard Wesley. Right.
I think that he's the guy that is most obviously on the radar. And then there's some other guys beyond that. And look, we talked about there's an offensive line need. Then I think there's a conversation about, real quick, do you take 2? I think there's a philosophical conversation about, can you, in the modern age, take 2? You're going to start 2 freshmen in 2027? Because if you're going to give Ishmael Kamara that kind of money and or Kennedy Brown, you're essentially saying, like, dude,
got to work them both in.
Somehow, you got to play more than Brandon Baker did.
Yeah, those 2 guys would be thrilled for you to give them both the money at the same place, but you're going to need to involve both of them.
And what are you doing at the portal next year? You know what I mean? So I think they're going to go heavy on the offensive line. I'm fascinated to see how the money stacks up ultimately. You know, they're recruiting. They got an in-state guy, Brian Swanson, the big tackle, whose stock is like this.
South Oak Cliff.
He's very Trevor Gooseby-ish. Which, because we have Trevor Gooseby on campus right now, it's easy to be like, ooh, yeah, let me take one of those. But I think the people just will never understand, no matter how many times I tell them, that in the history of the state of Texas, there are only 2 guys with a physical profile as a high school football prospect like Trevor Gooseby and another guy. You remember who the other guy is, right, Chad? I told you this.
Hang on, hold on. Oh, man. Yeah, you did. And now I'm not going to come up with it. Go ahead. Tell me. Tell me. I'm not going to remember it.
It was Jokel, I believe. Or it was either Jokel or Matthews. I got to go back and look.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Somebody who ended up being like a top 5 pick.
Matthews, I think is who it was. Yes.
And historically, with the frame and everything else, there have been 2 guys. And I think it was actually Matthews. But you wouldn't have said that Matthews and Ojo were the same as prospects in terms of physical development and all of that stuff. He's a unicorn. What he did in being ready to be a starting level player as a red, he was on the bench as a redshirt freshman, but he was our best. I'm curious. I really wonder where we should rank him as a redshirt freshman, as a backup on if we ranked all of the offensive linemen that played at Texas in 2024. You know, there's Cam Williams. who I almost don't remember healthy Cam Williams anymore. It's a damn shame, Chad. He didn't play that much football. So we saw like 6 games of him really, really good. And then we got the hobbled, disabled Cam Williams, and then he went pro. I'm not so sure that Trevor Goosby wasn't better than him as a redshirt freshman, but older guys, more experienced guys. But when he came in for both Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks during the season, I thought Goosby was the best player on the line. And then last year, he's first team all SEC. He's just, again, a lot of words to say, if you're going to pay Brian Swanson potentially, let's say, platinum level money, 500,000, 800,000, somewhere in between that kind of a number, you need to be prepared that historically, other than one guy, Trevor Goosby, in the last 3 decades, everybody needs at least 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're paying that money to a guy who is going to be a redshirt sophomore truly when he makes his first meaningful impact.
Yeah. So to be clear, you would not put Swanson in the 6 to 8 category. He's not in the big group.
No, but that doesn't mean that I don't love him.
Right. No, I hear nothing but great things about him. I hear nothing but good news on him. But
I think Texas is the favorite with him. The problem is, I think by the time we get to the end of the spring, for instance, he went to the opening camp yesterday.
Right.
He looked great.
Yeah.
So by the end of the spring, everybody's going to have gone through his high school, and everybody's going to see the same things we see. Like, oh my God, that guy's really good. That guy might be Trevor Goosby 2.0.
Now, does he have a chance
into that kind of thing? But that guy ain't coming free.
I see him listed here in some of Jason's notes. Where did he go? As a gold level guy for you. What's the ceiling for like the rating for him? Can it ever get up into
him elevated? He is. His rival industry number would be silver, because that's 150 through 300 ish.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently got a rivals industry ranking of 224. I have him ranked in gold, which would be national top 75 to 150, because that's where I believe he's headed. And I think, I can't help it. Sometimes I'm just ahead of the curve on these things. So I'm projecting where I think he will be in a couple of months. It's tomfoolery to think that guy is the number 224-ish player in the country per the people that I talk to. That's in the 100, 300,000 a year range.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going for that. He's not. He's an offensive lineman, right? The thing is, you're always going to see schools, but it's what Texas did with Derek Cooper really fascinating, because you feel like quarterback, wide receiver, left tackle, D tackle, edge, cover corner. Like, you kind of feel like you would do something out of the ordinary for a position like that, but it's not one of the positions that's so valuable that I don't know. It'll be curious.
We're going to get a couple of chats from our guy S-Rone that I enjoyed here in just a second. But first, if you're trying to decide between a drink and dessert, how about both? At the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room, oh my God, every time I see that key lime pie martini, I remember how it tasted, and I want another one. The cold brew martini was great as well. Maybe you're not into the martini side. You want to go get something in one of those great mason jars. Bring the glasses and jars back for those discounted refills. They're open Wednesdays through Sundays out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Get you some of that Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue. Go have a good time and enjoy some of this warm spring-like weather that we're having. Deep Eddy Vodka. Just scan that QR code and get on out there. Tell them we sent you here at Orange Bloods Live. A couple of quick chats here. First off, thank you.
Quick, Chad, hold on.
Yes.
Can we just finish? We can spend the rest of the show going back over this. Let me just lay out the positions real quick, as quickly as possible.
All right. S-Rone's trying to give us some love, but go ahead.
On the defensive side, no D tackle, yes on edge. I think no on linebacker, because I don't know who that linebacker is.
Okay.
I think yes on corner, and I think yes potentially on safety, which gets you to 8. I think there's no way in the world that you would expect to get all of your first choices at 8. So if any of those guys were to fall off, you might see them then throw a number somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can safely say that those 8 positions make the most sense, especially when correlated with, well, what are they trying to do? And I think a lot of times you can look on the offensives or on the out-of-state recruiting and see they're going after Brock Williams. They're going after Jackson Dollar. Okay, 2 tight ends. They're going after Cassie Curry. Okay, well, we know that's not going to be free. They're going after that safety, Honor Fa Olave Johnson. I hope I get to say his name a whole lot.
That's nice, yeah.
Arguably the best player in California. There's just a lot of talk that nobody really is. Everybody's starting to talk about in his recruitment how no one's talking about Texas. So no one's saying Texas is going to get him. There's just a lot of people who are suddenly saying, hey, man, watch out for Texas. So there's no way they're getting in that kid's recruitment without, I think, at some point getting the type of response that you're getting from Brock Williams is, which is, I really like Texas, and no one is recruiting me harder than they are, wink, wink. Okay, so because I think that answers the 8. Now it's who might be the 8, and then that is a separate question. And we outlined most of it.
All right, so let me make sure I get this. Okay, wide receiver, running back, that's 2. Offensive line is 3. Tight end is 4. Defensive end is 5. Cornerback is 6. Safety is 7. I missed 8. What's 8?
Corner, safety, edge, and then so that's 7.
I got. And 7.
I think I think the question is I think you're leaving a wild card option out there. Could be linebacker. It could be a second offensive lineman. It could be a second edge player, right? I think those are the 7 that to me seem obvious. And look, they didn't go big at corner last year, and they didn't go big at safety last year.
Yeah.
They went big at corner 2 years ago with Cade Phillips. That's how they got to flip from LSU. And we know they went big at safety 2 years ago with Jonah Williams. So I think having taken a year off from – and look, Smoke Matthews got maybe a platinum level deal. I put him in the gold category, but I think they thought he was a national top 50 guy when they recruited him. And then he committed. And then his stock did not finish nearly as high as it looked like it might. So I wonder what that looks like, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, before we leave there, it's one of the sexy positions on a football team. Give me a name. Is there
Meredith, baby? I mean, it's so obvious.
The badass cover corner that's worthy of the money is John Meredith from North Crowley. End of story.
Oh yeah.
There's nobody else in the category.
No. I mean, is there anybody else in the category? They're going to take more than one corner.
Okay.
And look,
if he ends up somewhere else, is there a 1A type of, take that money and walk over to that guy? Anybody that good?
There's one diamond corner, and that is John Meredith. Okay. One guy who is national top 5 in the country good.
Yeah, and great news, Texas fans. Jason Sukumel verified at the camp over the weekend there is an official visit to Texas coming at some point.
And look, A&M, just like with A&M's in the lead position with a lot of these guys. Texas is not. Look, it's either going to backfire on Texas, or Texas knows exactly what they're doing, and when they put the throttle down on a couple of guys,
right?
They know how to change their recruitments.
They know how to play the timing, man. They know how to play the timing.
And Meredith is a guy that seems to be warming up to Texas after it's looking like A&M.
Right.
He's like, hey, man, Texas is really recruiting me pretty hard now, and like again. When you start to hear that,
right. Also, catch. I believe if I'm reading Jason's notes correctly, it was who that told him that Meredith was kind of like in Texas.
His mom.
I think it was Mama
while wearing a Texas shirt.
Oh,
now look, make no mistake about it. The Aggies are the betting favorite there.
Okay, Mama might have an A&M necklace on or something that he missed.
But a month ago, no one in the Meredith clan was talking about Texas, really.
Yeah.
He was doing interviews, and other schools all over the place were being mentioned, and there was not and it was concerning.
Yeah.
And look, the thing is, like, if you ask anybody at Texas about recruiting, they will look at you like you have a third eyeball on your forehead.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you guys haven't learned yet.
They look at you like, we got this.
Yeah. Ooh, you guys, this is like a rite of passage in the spring to question Texas football recruiting tactics. They keep on doing what they want to do. And I asked Sukamel a question. I got to go back over to Orange Bloods and ask him, because this is, I think, a really important question. Who has Texas ever lost in a recruiting battle where it came down to money and Texas didn't pony up? Because I don't think there's an answer.
Right, because we've seen those circumstances where we find out somebody took a little less, right, to stay somewhere or to not go to Texas. But you're saying when it all comes down to it, has Texas ever been outbid for a guy?
A guy that they really want.
Like, is Ojo that guy?
No, and that's the example, right? Like, Texas is like, we're not paying. They just decided, like, fundamentally, we're not paying that guy that much money. We don't think he's that.
Right. So you're not talking about the situation where Texas realizes, all right, well, look, we're gonna take our finger away from the button. You're saying Texas will smash the button forever, like Cam Coleman, and lose.
I think Texas fans acted like some bitches with DeCorian Moore and tried to act like they lost that recruiting battle because DeCorian Moore got money whipped by Oregon and Texas didn't pony up. And that's just not what happened. He picked Oregon because he wanted to go to Oregon. The money was a wash.
Okay, that money was equal.
Ish. Yeah. I think at the moment he made the decision, Texas had the highest offer out to him.
Right.
I do think Oregon, I'm sure they made it right. I'm sure they didn't risk losing him or anything like that. But, that was not why he made the decision that he did. Fasusi, in the end, OU offered a lot of money early on, and Texas was like, we're not going to reveal our cards until later in the recruiting process. They ended up offering more money.
Right.
And Texas has lost out on kids who they've offered more money to. The Michigan guys in the portal they're not getting everybody. I'm asking you, though, and I'm asking you because I don't know the answer.
Right.
Who have they ever lost that when it was over with, it truly was Texas just didn't come correct. Like, they got bullied.
They just got outbid, right?
I don't
Like,
think it's ever happened.
Like, they were willing to say it was this, we'll go this number, we'll go that number. Somebody outbids them, and then eventually Texas just has to say, all right, that's it.
I think it started with the Anthony Hill recruitment. They just decided, Anthony Hill ain't getting paid more money at Texas. We're not losing Anthony Hill to Texas A&M over whatever the hell the dollar amount is.
Do you think that will be the mindset with Easton Royal and Lane Kiffin, that no matter what Lane Kiffin does, they're going to get Easton Royal?
Well, that is the $3 to $4 million question.
Right.
And I don't truly know how to answer that other than I've been told by my sources, we know what's going to happen with Easton Royal. We're not flinching. But when you say that,
what?
And then someone else is like, hey, man, what do you think about Julian Caldwell? Stop. I love all these guys. I think Julian Caldwell is great. I think Alvin Mosley is great. I love Trey Moore. These are all guys I would want on my college football team. But when Julian Caldwell's like, look, man, Texas hadn't talked to me about any money yet, which is what he said yesterday in an interview.
That's fascinating to me.
It's not to me.
Yeah.
They're talking because look, they don't want to be honest about the money, which is what is the true honesty there. Julian, we don't really know what our budget for you really looks like. It's kind of contingent upon Easton Royal, who we think is better than you.
Right.
And we've got
that's
tied into that. We don't even know what the final number is.
That is fair that in early March, late February, early March, you're essentially saying to the kid, we think you're a dog. We don't think you're a big dog, or we don't think you're the biggest dog.
What did I just tell you? What is the question? Is Texas going to pay you?
Right.
Because if you're not that, then the question is, well, is anybody going to pay you?
Yeah.
And the answer then becomes yes.
Look around and
Then it's like, because it could eventually turn into like, well, look, man, Texas wants to pay me $300,000 and this other school wants me to pay $700,000. And you know what?
My mom said she would shoot me in the face with an actual gun because $700,000 is more money than she made in her entire life. She said, I cannot turn $700,000 down.
Yeah, right.
You know how much taxes you have to pay on $700,000? Almost that whole $300,000 that the other
right.
like
Exactly.
Just, and so you just get into these discussions where I don't know how to answer a question. I don't know when it gets to be that kind of conversation, I don't know how to talk about a kid's recruitment. How am I supposed to talk about variances and hundreds of thousands of dollars between one school and another? How do you quantify? Well, if you go to Texas, you're going to a better university, a more prestigious academic institution. If you get a degree, it's going to be worth so much more than if you go to Texas Tech. The football program is as prestigious as it gets. But at the end of the day, look, if you doubled my income right now and said, catch, go cover Mary Hardin Baylor, I have to give some real consideration to you're just going to double the amount of money that I make in a year. So would you. I don't know how to talk about these recruitments. And I'm just honest about it. So when we get these questions about what do you think the Texas football recruiting class is going to look like? Who are the 6 to 8? And then you try to figure out who those 6 to 8 guys are.
Yeah.
And then it's well, if they miss out on there, who becomes the Derek Cooper? And I think these are wild cards that we don't know. You could make a case for a guy like Easton Royal that if they were to lose Easton Royal, the pivot wouldn't be to one of these receivers that they're otherwise currently recruiting right now. The pivot might be to the Derek Cooper of the wide receiver class, which might be, I don't know, I think Julio Jones Jr. is in this class or something like that. You completely pivot into a direction that nobody sees coming. Nobody saw that Derek Cooper thing happening until last year when Xavier Crowell committed to Alabama, and then Texas was like, whoa, I guess we need to go. Who's next? And then they just decided that Derek Cooper was next. And you know what? Nobody in college football could do anything to stop it. So, it's kind of like when Trump makes a decision, who's going to say no? Who says no? No one says no.
We got some chats. Oh, we got somebody guessing on a guy Texas might have got outbid for. We'll get to that.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, one more of our great partners to thank too, and that's AV Consultations. Man, I enjoyed the weekend on TV, man. I'm watching Elimination Chamber. I watched a guy get history at COTA with Michael Jordan as the owner of the car in NASCAR. That was some serious history. Watched Texas and Texas A&M play basketball. Watched all kinds of stuff going on, and it was great because it was on a nice big screen. Make sure you're watching everything on the screen you need to. You need multiple screens, a new screen set up. Maybe you're moving into a new house and you've got the movie room figured out. You just need to get it all set up. Let AV Consultations handle all of it. Let them buy the TV or TVs you're thinking of. Let them handle every bit of it. The furniture, the wires, the cables, the speakers. They've got it all. The latest equipment, the latest and the greatest, and the biggest screen you can think of. They've got it all. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. Check them out. Tell them you heard about it here on OB Live. We would appreciate it. All right, Catch. So somebody jumped in the chat with the simple question. Chris Henry. Was Chris Henry the type of guy that Texas might have got outbid for? He is obviously at Ohio State now.
No, because I heard Texas would have gotten frisky money-wise. Now, maybe there would have been no Cam Coleman. There probably would not have been a Cam Coleman had they gotten a Chris Henry.
Okay.
No, but money wasn't an issue there. The kid just wanted to go to Ohio State.
Okay.
But Texas was, they were just in the mix because of that. So
I got you. Okay.
I don't know if they offered the most money, but I think they were offering.
But they were ready to. They'd have been ready to outbid.
I think they would have offered the most money.
Gotcha.
That if they felt like, because I think Derek Cooper conveyed to them before they ever did anything. Hey man, if we were to come correct with this, would that impact your recruitment? And I think he said, yeah, it will.
Hell yeah, it would.
He's like, well, how much? Number one.
He said, hook 'em what? What did you just say? Yeah.
He said, I will commit without taking my official visit. How about that?
Yeah, that is impactful. Also, thanks to S. Roan for giving us some love. Yes, like the video, subscribe. How about 229,000 plus? We're almost to 230,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, S. Roan. And everybody who is a subscriber. Also, thanks to S. Roan for this. I love these about it, West Texas. I haven't heard this one. You're going to need money to sell Lubbock. As Waylon Jennings said, you can watch your dog run away for 3 days out there. That's a good one. S. Roan.
I never heard that before.
That's a great one. My two favorites are if you stare into the horizon long enough, you'll see the back of your own head. And then Terry Allen once said, you can see 5 miles in any direction in West Texas. And if you stand on a tuna can, you can see 10 miles in any direction. But that's a good one to add, especially since Waylon Jennings supposedly said it, because that makes it even cooler, Catch, if Waylon said it about West Texas. So I like it. You can watch your dog run away for 3 days out there.
It doesn't have to be true. It sounds so good. I'm just willing to believe it.
We can all imagine Waylon saying it. It's so good. All right, Catch. Anything else you want to hit on this topic? You want to buy or sell? What do you want to do? Was
there anything else in the chat?
I think we cleaned out everything in the chat that we needed to. We clarified
I'm good with waiting to do buy or sell until later in the week because we've passed the hour mark.
Okay.
And it means an extra 10 or 15 minutes if we do.
Fair enough.
And it's just not good for rewatchability of the show. No offense to anybody who's watching live who's like, give us the buy or sell. Yeah. I get it. I totally get it.
And we got some good names out there. So
is there anything else? Have I answered the elephant in the room? I feel like I have the most important question. I feel like we've gone after specific players. I don't think that there's a player that I've left out that I think currently we should be talking about. Like I think every position we mentioned the guy to watch. And I think there's a real, should they not get that guy? Is there a pivot guy? And I don't completely know position by position if those have revealed themselves. And I don't know that we completely know what they're going to do at running back yet because they haven't done with Landon Williams-Callis what they've done with John Meredith, which is make such a big move that I can say with a straight face, oh, yeah, no, when that kid goes to make a decision in June or July, Texas will be in the forefront of his decision-making process. It feels like they're a ways away from that.
Yeah, I know. I thought you threw a lot of good names out. The names people need to kind of keep their mind on as this recruiting season continues. And you think about who are the big 6 to 8 that Texas is going to pay that big money. Thank y'all for liking, subscribing, getting the notifications. Again, help us get to 230,000 subscribers. We are almost there, as Tiana once sang. You guys have a good Monday. Catch will be out tomorrow. We'll do the modcast because Jason's back. Alex and Cody are both back from the combine. We'll have all kinds of stuff to talk about in the modcast tomorrow. And Catch will be back on Wednesday. Check out orangebloods.com. That QR code in the upper left, up there in the upper left near Catch, that gets you to orangebloods.com. Jump on in. Make this Thursday night your first war room if you have not been on orangebloods.com. What are you waiting on? You'll get in and you'll never want to leave. It's like home. Make your new home. Are you too good for your new home?
We won't let you cancel. So that's the other thing. It's like Hotel California.
No, that's not. Don't do that. It is not a haunted house. No, it's not that. It's not one of those movies. Come on, man. I'm trying to sell it here.
You can check in anytime you want. Yeah, no, you can't. Don Henley loves Orange Bloods.
This is Orange Bloods Live. Don't listen to